Since its release, Baldurs Gate 3 has been a topic of discussion for many gamers. However, not the game or even the gamers are making things unbearable. Instead, many are pointing out the inconsistent coverage of the media and the way they choose to cover this game. It is no secret that gaming journalism is no longer what it used to be. There used to be a time when they were a pillar within the community. Unfortunately, today they are nothing more than an empty shell of themselves. There are, of course, a multitude of reasons for this. Firstly, the space got too crowded. When the internet was in its infancy, gaming journalists were nothing more than a group of dedicated gamers who also loved to cover it. No big money was involved, everyone did it out of passion. There were a couple of gaming magazines and a few TV shows. Then the internet came along, and journalists started to blog and create their websites. Even during this time, the space was still credible. However, as the internet grew, the space became more competitive. In addition to this, more money also started to roll in. Whenever there is money to be made, bad actors will enter. Before you knew it, the gaming journalism scene were filled with corporate people and activists who do not even play games. They only say the most controversial thing they can think of to get a click. Most gaming journalists do not even review games anymore. They only complain about them. So do I, but I am not a game journalist for a major site. Before I go into a deeper tangent, let's review the media hypocrisy and how they choose to cover this game instead of others. Journalists have been salivating at the mouths and falling over each other, trying to explain why this game is so stunning and brave. Since it was announced that you could sleep with a bear, everyone has been going crazy. Gaming journalists, in particular, celebrate this as the first adult scene in a video game. Everyone is proudly celebrating how this game is not afraid to show nudity. If this response is confusing you, then you are not alone. The gaming media has quickly called out anything that closely resembles sex or femininity. Women can't even wear a skirt anymore without everyone having a mental breakdown. However, a man and a bear doing it in the woods is intensely celebrated. For clarity, the game is not going anything wrong. They are allowed to have these scenes and express themselves however they want to. If you do not like it, then play another game. However, it is the responses from the journalists that are driving everyone crazy. I do not want any games to be censored. I cover video game censorship all the time. This is why the recent coverage surrounding this title is so strange. Journalists are actively calling for every game to be censored. Every day a new company announces that they will be covering something up. The media quickly jump on this and provide their full support. This begs the question, why are they drawing the line at a man and a bear doing it in the woods? Is the way that they cover this game growth or hypocrisy? Sadly, this is not any growth. The journalists praising Baldurs Gate 3 are going out of their way to slam other games. They are quick to call games horny garbage when it suits them. However, the question remains, why is gay bear love fine and girls in skirts fighting not? It is impossible to draw an accurate conclusion, but I can only guess. I can only assume that the developers behind Baldurs Gate 3 made political statements in the past that these journalists agree with. Many have accused the publisher behind the game of being infected by the woke virus. The publisher made it very clear that they will have a massive focus on LGBTQ-related issues. They were very open about the fact that they would represent those groups in this game. There is nothing wrong with doing that. They are free to showcase those groups in the games. However, this is the reason why the media is giving them no pushback. Once more, I will state that I do not think Baldurs Gate 3 should be getting any pushback. However, when journalists make it their identity to go after any woman that is even slightly attractive and then praise this game, you have to point it out. They do not want to attack this game because it has LGBTQ-related themes. If it were GTA or any other title doing this, they would write multiple articles attacking it. If it is a man and a bear, we must defend it. Why? Because they are in support of the groups we are in support of. If it is an attractive woman and a man, then sex-crazy developers are sexist. May journalists are not only going after games that feature suggestive content but also the gamers who play them. The journalists on the same platforms who are now praising Baldurs Gate 3, only a few months ago, were very aggressive with the coverage of other games. They are quick to call out players as nothing more than horny gamers. Granted, many of us are, but I see no problem. I like attractive people in video games and make no apologies for it. Video games are just that, video games. They are meant to entertain and help people escape. You should be free if you want to get lost in an animation world filled with attractive girls or guys. It should not only be fine if the studio doing it is politically correct. That, unfortunately, seems to be the standard. If you make political statements that journalists agree with, you are free to do suggestive video game content. The media will defend and praise you to the fullest extent. However, anyone else doing it is morally corrupt and exploitative. This is a topic we always brought up with Rockstar and GTA. With many praising the GTA games, they have been a massive target for journalists. They are quick to call the game sex crazy. Resident Evil is another example. Journalists attack this game relentlessly, stating that they do nothing but sexualize their women. Baldurs Gate 3 features full-on sex scenes, but we can't have sexy women in Resident Evil. Why? Because that studio did not make politically correct statements. Thus, we need to do everything we can to destroy them. We will attack them and beat them into submission. Sadly, many studios give in. Ultimately, Baldurs Gate 3 is an innocent victim in this discourse. They are creating the game they want and setting a gold standard. The developers have gone above and beyond to create an excellent player experience. Many other game studios are blasting the game because they say Baldurs Gate 3 did such a good job, many others won't be able to live up to that expectation. We can all agree that video games should not be censored. Thus, the media's hypocrisy has never been louder.